Happy Friday. All right, this week on You've Got Questions, I've Got Answers. The question is, what are the most common issues with in-ground pools? Stay tuned.
You better get fired up.
Hey, if you're in South Florida, pools are going to be a big part of your real estate search for a lot of people, not for everybody. Some people are anti-pool, which is completely fine. But a lot of people move here because they want that pool experience. I know I'm from Minnesota, for those of you who don't know, and it was cold, man. Nobody had a pool. And if you had a pool and you filled the pool, you had to empty the pool every single year because it would freeze, crack, you'd have leaks, you'd have all kinds of issues. And for a lot of people, it just wasn't worth it. And then to get a pool heater for the handful of months that you're able to use it, it just wasn't cost efficient for most people. So here in Port St. Lucie, it's usually between 22 and 24% of all listings on the market have pools. I don't know what it was when I sold real estate in Minnesota, but I will say it's probably less than 1%. It was not a lot of homes that had pools. So coming down here from the Midwest or from the Northeast, it's very common to hear those folks say, Joe, we've got to have a pool house. I get it. It makes sense. So what are the biggest issues that we see with pools? Now, there's quite a few, but I tried to narrow it down to the three that I see most commonly. All right. So the first one is a leaking pool filter. Now, you've got a filter out by your pool equipment, and generally, I don't know if this is always true. This is what I know. I'm not a pool guy, but generally, it looks like a giant pill that you would take from a doctor, right? So it's kind of oval shape. But it's 3D, so it's got that pill shape. And then when you open it up, it's got a giant filter in there. And then after I don't know what it is, 6 months, a year, whatever it is, you take that filter out, you put a new filter in, bada bing, bada boom, you're good. Now, I've seen that sucker leak probably half a dozen times in the last handful of years with different clients or at different showings. What I have found is the solution. But again, if you're a pool guy and there's another solution, a cheaper solution, a better solution, whatever, certainly let me know. But what I have seen is the solution, usually not always. Sometimes you need a whole new filter system, but usually it's a little, I'm going to call it an O-ring, and it's a rubber piece that goes around the inside, and it's a what's the word I'm looking for? Seal. It creates a seal so that the water inside doesn't get out of that, I'm going to call it a pill. Okay. If that thing gets old or brittle or breaks or whatever it is, you can have water seep out. So every time I've seen it, it generally is just, hey, we need to replace this. The part itself, I'm sure, is 20 to 50 bucks. You pay more in labor than you pay for the actual part. So getting it fixed usually tends to be in the 150 to 250 range, assuming you're having somebody else do it. I've never done it myself because I don't like touching things like that, but I would assume if you went and bought that ring for yourself and you fixed it yourself, you get it done for 20 to 50 bucks. The next most common, and this one you'll visually see, everybody can see this one. You don't need to be a pool stud to realize this, but you'll walk in and you'll see that the water is either murky, or if it's even worse, it's green, right? Not a big deal. Looks like a big deal, looks disgusting, and it's going to kill you as a seller. It is not going to help you when selling your house. You're going to lose thousands of dollars for what would normally cost you, and I'm giving away the end result here. It's going to cost you anywhere usually between $150 and $300 to get that initial pool fix. Now, it can cost you more depending upon how time intensive it is and how much in chemicals it's going to cost. And that's the fix. Is you've got to go in and clean out a lot of the physical stuff with a net, and then you've got to go in and treat it with chemicals. And a lot of times people think it's a one-time fix. I've had a lot of sellers that, hey, it was mom's home. Mom kind of let the pool go because she was older. Now we're taking it over after mom passed. The pool's green. What do we do? It's not necessarily something you can fix in a day. You might need that guy to come back every 2, 3, 4 days, check the chemicals, put new chemicals in, whatever it is. And it might take you a couple weeks if it's really bad. If it's not that bad and it's blue water, but it's a little murky, that might take you one session, maybe two, right? That's typically what I see. Again, if you're a pool guy, correct me in the comments, but that's typically what I see. Usually it's 150 to 300, but again, if it's something where they've got to come back for weeks, it might be a little bit more. But it is very fixable. All of these are fixable. It's just finding the right mixture of the different chemicals that you need to make it look good, but all of these can be taken care of, and there's plenty of pool guys who love getting this stuff done. Now, the last one is the big one. And it's one that I see a lot of people missing. And it'll pop up, hopefully, if you've got a good home inspector on your home inspection, but you really don't want to miss this one because this one is not $150 to $300. This one's got a big price tag to it, and it's resurfacing. So depending upon the type of your pool, there's going to be a surface, an interior surface around the inside of your pool. And that surface only lasts for so long. I've heard anywhere between 15 and 20 years. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And I suppose it has to do with wear and tear, and are you in direct sunlight or is there shade, and probably a million other things as to whether it's closer to the 15 or closer to the 20. But you'll start to see shedding where parts of the pool will actually peel off. You'll see staining that won't come off. You'll see you've got kind of that sandpaper feel on the edge when you get your new resurfacing done. You'll see that that's kind of gone away. And once that happens, you're starting to increase the odds of cracks and leaks, which that creates even more problems. So you're generally going to want to get your pool resurfaced every, say, 15 to 20 years. And I wouldn't just resurface it. I'd probably have a pro come out and look at it and tell you it needs resurfacing. A resurface is expensive. They're going to have to empty the entire pool, and then to put that resurface on generally costs between $8,000 and $12,000. That's the bills that I've seen. I've heard as high as 15, but I've never seen one over 12. And honestly, I don't think I've seen one in the eights for probably over a year or two. I think they've gone up a little bit. So let's just call it 9 to 12. And again, if you're a pool guy, feel free to update that in the comments. But that's generally what we see. So when I'm at a showing as a buyer's agent, I'm going around and I'm looking. I'm not worried about whether or not they've power washed the decking, or are the screws in the cage rusted or not. I mean, those things are aesthetics, and it's not something that concerns me. What does concern me is the condition of the interior of that pool. So I'm usually going to get down and feel the edge to see if I've got that. Can I still feel the pebbles on the side? I'm looking for those stains. I'm asking the seller how long those stains have been there. And those are the typical things that we're looking for. But again, you're looking at about $9,000 to $12,000. Same thing as a listing agent. I'm going to come through. I'm going to look at your pool. If I see that, I'm not necessarily going to tell you that you need to resurface it, but I am going to tell you that most people are going to cut your price by $10,000 to $15,000 because they're going to have to take on the burden, the cash out of pocket, the time, the risk. So you're saying, well, Joe, you're saying it's 9 to 12. Why would they ask for 15 off? Because they got to take all those burdens and that time and that risk. And there's the unknown, right? Anytime you do that to somebody, they're not going to take off what it's going to cost. They're going to take off what it costs plus a little bit more for risk. So if you're a seller and hey, in 6 to 12 months, I'm going to sell and my pool needs resurfacing, I highly recommend getting it resurfaced now. Don't wait. Because if you want to sell, say, in February and you call me on January 25th, I'm going to tell you, you need to get this resurfaced, and it might take you a month or two to get a company out there to get that done. So you want to get that done ahead of time so that it's ready to roll when you're ready to get it on the market. So guys, there you go. There are 3 of the most common issues that I've seen. There are other issues that I've seen, but those are the most common, and kind of what it's going to run you roughly, or at least what I've experienced it's going to run you. If you've got more issues that you've experienced, I'd love to see it in the comments just to educate more people out here in the public. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Take care.